Welcome to my studio. Today we're going to work on this Amazon mailer and I'm going to create a journal out of it. This is not something new. This was originally created by Mickelday and I'll have her information linked below in the description box. She gave this mailer to me. This is one of those Amazon mailers that has styrofoam inside. I did take some of that gum tape and supported some of the weaker areas on it. Now in her version, she cut this down and made a couple of journals out of it, but I decided to go a little bit bigger. And so I'm using the whole mailer. So I'm going to get that good and covered with gesso on all sides. And then I'm going to go in and start to get some color down. So that's the first area that I'm going to work on here. Now that I've got that gesso down, I need to decide where I'm going to have my binding edge and which is going to be the inside and outside edges. So I'm just going through here and measuring how much space is part of that natural mailer edge there. And I'm thinking that it's about a ½ an inch should be sufficient for what I'm wanting to do. And I like that flap. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that flap. So the next thing is just to get some color down. Alright, so now I'm going to prepare my signatures. I am using 98-pound Canon mixed media paper that's 14 by 17, and I know to fit in my journal as it is so far, the signatures need to be 16.5 by 11, and then we fold them in half. So I'm making 2 signatures of 4 sheets. So this will have 16 total pages. I have a good wide binding here, so I can separate them out nicely in that ½ inch or so of space. And that'll give me room for the bulk of them since I am doing mixed media stuff with them. So I'm on the last 2 sheets. I've been cutting them 2 at a time. And I'm just going to show you my method. This is what works for me. So I have my very large 36-inch alumni cutter, which I love. And I just kind of lay that down. You can't see it, it's off screen here because I need all the space I can get, but I lay it down on my tabletop. I'll try and get it up as much as I can here. There we go, now you can see it. And then I square up my papers to each other and I lay that down on the 0 and all the way down. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the secondary plastic ruler and I'm going to line it up to my 16.5 because that's how long these pages need to be to fit. And I'll make sure it's flush against this edge and I'm simply going to run it up and then extend it. And now I'm going to cut. I don't cut along this edge because it's plastic and your knife can actually go into it and then you're not square any longer. So I am going to use my Lumni, and I have a Fiskars rotary cutter that is only for paper. I don't use my fabric one on paper. It dulls it out too quickly. I have to replace my paper one twice as often. So then I'm going to go up against this edge just so I can see my pencil line. Now with the rotary cutters you have to be careful. You have to get in the habit of extending it out, and when you're done you immediately re-extend it. This causes less accidents. And I always go in one direction. So if I'm going this time this way, I come back. The next time I cut, I'll go the other way. And it's easy to go through 2 sheets. You can see how nice and easy that was. So immediately I let it in. And now I gotta do the other direction. This way needs to be 11.5. Now I'm going to be off camera for you, I'm sorry. Because this is long. So I'm going to butt it up against there. And once again, bring my plastic ruler to the 11.5 and get it flush against the Illumi cutter and just mark it off. Then line it up along that line and finish it. If you want to double check that line, you can always measure with your plastic cutter all the way up to make sure you've got it. I'm not looking for total precision, just I'd like it to be square. That's probably my most important thing. Okay. The other thing I like about my Illumi cutter, it has this recess right here for fingers. So if you are using a rotary, you are much more protected. So we immediately put it in. And I save these for under papers. Okay, so now this is the size we need. And now I need to fold them in half and score them. And I cannot find my bone folder. But a lot of the times I use this. This is like a spoon from one of those yogurt shops. This was from, doesn't say. But it's nice, it's handy. So I line that up. Now what I found is easiest, no matter if you're using a bone folder or whatever, is you come from the center in and make your crease and then go out. That seems to work the easiest, for me anyways. This is relatively thin paper, so it's not really thick. It's 98 pound. And then it goes inside. And now we can match it up with the other two. And now we have our two signatures that will go in there nicely. And that fits in there pretty well. All right, so now I have to make a decision. Am I going to do any more with this before I do the signatures? Probably not, because I don't want to have to go through so much. So that's the next part, is attaching the signatures. Now we're going to stitch our signatures into our cover. So you need your signatures in your cover, of course. You need some kind of thread. You can use anything. This is bookbinding thread. It's very thick. It is waxen. It's very strong. And because it's thicker, you do need a thicker bookbinding type needle. It has a very big eye on it to be able to put that through. And you're going to need an owl, or you can use a needle, something to create your holes. And then scissors to cut your flax with. And then I use this when I'm using the owl to put the holes through. So the first thing we're going to do is put 3 holes through each of our signatures. So the rule of thumb is you do this in 3s. You want to get a center, and if you need to mark it, you can. It doesn't have to be precise. I don't do it precisely. But a center, then you want to do it about an inch from the top and an inch from the, or an inch from the bottom, an inch from the top. And you can make marks. So you get everything square. And you're going to do your hole. And I'm just using cork. Now I like to lift it up and then push it through to the so it's a larger hole, so I can get this flax through it. I'm used to calling it waxy flax. I'm not really sure. It's just bookbinding thread. So then what I'm going to do, so that these match up, I'm going to actually put my other 4 together. You don't have to do it this way. And make my holes. So I'm going to remove my 4. Put those to the side. And I'm just going to make these larger. Pushing the owl through. Okay. And now that that's done, now we have to create our holes in our cover. So this is going to go through, there's 2 of them. You want to get them lined up where you want. And what I suggest is you use your back, do your back one first. Okay, so I want this right here, and you're gonna get your cork underneath. Okay. So now you'll see we have our holes there. Okay, and then you want your other signature. Line that up. All right, so now you can put your cork or whatever foam stuff works, you're all aside. And we're going to get ourselves a nice length. I usually do this and do 3 of these. And then cut that. Get a needle. Okay, so the pattern that we're going to do is from the inside, we're going to go through the center hole and through the center hole of our cover. Okay, and we're going to pull that through, and we're going to leave a tail about 4 or 5 inches long. And then we're going to go down to the bottom and go through that without pulling this tail out. Okay, and then we're going to go all the way to the top and through that hole. Again, without pulling your tail out, and then we're going to go through the center. Now you're going to want to make sure that you have your original tail is on one side of the strand and the other is on the other side, because you're going to tie this. So we're going to pull that through, and now we can pull it tight. That could be a little tighter. Okay, we're going to take the needle off, and we're going to tie this. I do a box knot, so one way one direction and then the other way the other direction, and pull it real tight. And then we're going to do that with the other one. And you can leave these tails on here or you can cut them. I usually leave them on initially and then decide what I'm going to do with them. So now we have our signatures in our journal. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more from me, go ahead and click on the subscribe button. And if you want to get notifications of new videos being posted, go ahead and click on the bell. Thank you.